Welcome everybody to episode number 6 of the Sensational Experience here on the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. I am, of course, the Pennsylvania sensation, Greg Cherry, and we're here tonight to talk about Backlash. Backlash, obviously, tomorrow night, happening on the WWE Network, but we're going to talk about some of my favorite matches in Backlash history. Not necessarily the greatest technical works of art, I guess you could say, but we're going to look over some of the best matches in the history of the pay-per-view, which obviously goes back a lot further than Payback did a few weeks ago. This goes all the way back to the Attitude Era, and let's start with 1999. One of the best matches from that show was The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, with Shane McMahon as the guest referee. Now, this match was a lot of fun. Stone Cold retained the championship. Not as good as the WrestleMania 15 match, though, I must say. And this led to The Rock being kicked out of the corporation, and it led to his eventual babyface turn and rise to the top of the company. Let's fast forward a year and go to the WWF Championship match in 2000, where The Rock challenged Triple H. The Rock, obviously, the main babyface, was Stone Cold out with an injury. Stone Cold did return during this match, and Triple H had the corporation in his pocket, had, again, Shane McMahon as the referee, had the entire McMahon-Helmsley faction against The Rock, and then Stone Cold came out for the save, and then Earl Hebner, who was on probation, counted the pinfall. So many stories going on in this match, and it was a lot of fun, and it was less than 20 minutes, so they fit a lot into that entire match. Going to the next year, 2001, Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle in the Ultimate Submission match. And let's be honest, if you put Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit in a match against each other, it's going to be gold. That's just the way it is. And speaking of gold, Benoit would be stealing Kurt Angle's gold medal and sticking it down the front of his trunks during the course of this feud. So, Benoit would go on to win this match, albeit in controversial fashion, which would lead to their 2 out of 3 falls match the next month at Judgment Day. 2002 didn't really have a match that stood out. I mean, you could say Hollywood Hogan against Triple H, but that match was okay for what it was. Hogan won the title. You could talk about Brock Lesnar's debut against Jeff Hardy, but none of those were really like matches that you absolutely have to see, if that makes any sense. So 2002, a little bit of a letdown as far as the match quality, but 2003 picked that back up with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Cena hadn't even been on the main roster a year yet, but he was competing for the WWE Championship, and he held his own against Brock Lesnar. I thought the two of them had an excellent WWE Championship match. You could also talk about Goldberg versus The Rock. Again, it's a Goldberg match, so it's okay for what it was. Not knocking Goldberg because I enjoyed Goldberg versus Lesnar from the past WrestleMania. Just my opinion. 2004 had a couple of good matches. Obviously, one that stands out more than any, is probably still talked about to this day, is Randy Orton against Mick Foley for the Intercontinental Championship in a hardcore match. And Randy Orton took some ridiculous shots. Of course, Mick Foley always taking ridiculous shots, ending with an RKO on a barbed wire board. It was just insane, it was brutal, and it was the match that really put Randy Orton on the map. It was, if you want to see a physical and brutal match, that is one to check out. Also from 2004, the rematch from WrestleMania, Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, not as good as the WrestleMania match, but it was an enjoyable match. Benoit, of course, putting Shawn Michaels in the sharpshooter in Montreal, and Shawn Michaels tapping out. They could get over it for a night. But Benoit continued. I believe he had a solid reign as the World Heavyweight Champion. He put on great matches because it was Chris Benoit, and this was no different. 2005, somebody else who puts on great matches, actually both of them, Shelton Benjamin and Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship kicked off the 2005 Backlash. And that match was technical, it was physical, it was awesome, quite frankly. It's a shame that Shelton Benjamin didn't sign again. because I would love to see him when he first got announced shortly after the draft. I was really excited, and then he had the issue with his shoulder, and he didn't actually come back. So that was disappointing. If Shelton Benjamin does come back, though, I'll welcome it with open arms because I love some Shelton Benjamin. And, of course, Chris Jericho's Chris Jericho. There's just greatness abound, let's face it. Also from 2005, Edge and Chris Benoit in a last man standing match. Another physical match between the two of them. Edge just had won Money in the Bank, so this was a way to further their feud because they had started feuding actually while they were tag team champions several months earlier. Great feud, great match, check it out. 2006, Rob Van Dam against Shelton Benjamin, the Intercontinental title versus the Money in the Bank contract. Excellent match between the two of them. Another physical match. A lot of these are very physical matches. They're very intense. They draw you in. That's my point with this entire list. And Van Dam did become the Intercontinental Champion again. He lost it shortly after, but the Money in the Bank briefcase was more important to RVD, as would become the case later in that year. Also from 2006, another triple threat match, John Cena, Edge, and Triple H for the WWE title. This match, Triple H got busted open. Cena beat him again, much like he did at WrestleMania, this time by pinfall. And Triple H attacked both Cena and Edge after the match, did the DX chop to get the pop, and continued his slow burn to being a babyface. This was the case from WrestleMania until he officially turned when DX reunited that year. But that match, that triple threat match, was awesome. The build up to it was awesome. It was just an enjoyable time. 2007, Undertaker and Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship in a last man standing match. It's hard to argue with last man standing matches in general, that they always tend to be very good. This one was no different. This one ended in a draw, though, so it was a little bit of a letdown with a finish, but the physicality, again, was there between Undertaker and Batista, as was the case during the entire course of that year as their feud continued. 2008, Matt Hardy and MVP for the United States Championship. This was really the culmination, so to speak, of Matt Hardy's singles career. Yes, he became ECW champion later that year, but Matt Hardy, as the United States champion, finally overcame MVP in their nearly year-long feud. Because you have to remember, MVP and Matt Hardy started feuding in the summer of 2007, and this was April-May 2008. Because Matt Hardy and MVP were tag team champions, Matt got injured. He was on the shelf till WrestleMania, came back, attacked MVP, they had their match at Backlash, and they tore the house down. It was a great match. Also on that, Randy Orton, Triple H, John Cena, and JBL for the WWE Championship in a fatal four-way elimination match. And this match was designed to not only give Triple H the championship again, which he would eventually take to SmackDown, but it took John Cena out of the limelight a little bit, out of the title picture, while the focus was still on Randy Orton and the World Heavyweight Championship until, of course, he got injured. And Cena and JBL would continue their feud. And, again, the physicality of this match was very well done, and Triple H winning the championship was the right move in this case, and it ended Orton's 6-month title reign. Also, 2009, another last man standing match, Edge and John Cena. Edge and John Cena, what can be said about their feud? I mean, they feuded for about 2, 3, almost 4 years, and the battles that the two of them had were those of legend. This was no different. Big Show interfering, costing John Cena the championship, giving Edge another World Heavyweight Championship reign. And the finish of Big Show chokeslamming John Cena into the spotlight was quite a sight. Also from 2009, the WWE Championship match, Legacy versus Shane McMahon, Triple H, and Batista in a 6-man tag team match. One of the few times you will ever see a World Championship defended in a tag team match. Much better done than WCW 2000. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But this match was designed for Randy Orton to finally take down Triple H, take him out of action for a little bit. I won't lie that I say I was kind of hoping Shane would win the entire thing because I'm a Shane O'Mac mark. But that notwithstanding, Legacy, Orton, Rhodes, and DiBiase did their job. Took out Shane, took out Batista, and Triple H had to prevent Batista from getting disqualified to begin with, and then Orton hit Triple H with the RKO, kicked out, botch finish with the bell ringing. I haven't checked if that's on the network. And then Randy Orton hit the punt for the 1-2-3. And from last year's Backlash, from 2016, the six-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I could have said AJ and Dean Ambrose, but the match was a little slow-paced for me. I thought their match against each other at TLC was far, far better. But the six-pack challenge elevated every single woman on the SmackDown roster. It elevated Becky, Carmella, Alexa, Naomi, Natalya, and Nikki Bella. It did wonders for all six of them. They put on an incredible match against each other. There wasn't a pinfall in that match for about the first 10 minutes. So they really all got to showcase their stuff, and it was very well done. And, the women's wrestling in the last 2 years has been spot on. I have had no complaints. So let's see what happens with this year. Let's hope that this year's Backlash, that there are far more matches to add to this list. We will see. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens is a prime contender. Just looking on paper, that could be a match of the night, if not a match of the year candidate for the United States Championship. So we will see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Submit your questions either on the YouTube channel, either on my Instagram or Twitter, both at PA Sensation. Submit them to me however you want to. I will answer them next week for another question and answer session. And keep it sensational and keep it here on No DQ.